Hello again, everybody. As I promised in the astrology report, I will do a video about the root cause. That root cause of the problems, okay? And the main reason is if you don't go down deep into the roots, you are not really solving the problem, okay? You don't getting the things done. Had a conversations here that with some few people, and they are like, well, I had a situation that repeat. I had this thing, I had the same, and that it's going into one thing. What are you feeding? What are you looking? Do you go looking deep in yourself? Do you getting into these positions of as at to the bottom of the things, okay, to really to the bottom. I had a friend of mine that he got so angry and is like, yo, just I want to know what it I'm doing wrong. And I told him, you keep fitting the same situations. You feeding it into. I explained it to him some of the things that I seen, okay, throughout my professional career. And I told him, listen, I work at these companies, and the companies, they were doing the same things. Why? Because I was seeing the same thing. Once I decided to change, then the things got different. I look at it more as to prove to myself that I can become a pro of what I'm doing. And I became the pro because this is what I fed. This is what I put my attentions into. What you're feeding, that's what's gonna grow. But do you really know what you need to feed? Do you go deep down in yourself and figure it out that you are self-sabotaging yourself and feeding that sabotage? Hi, Nia. Wow, glad to see you here. Happy Easter. And when you feeding the same thing, when, for example, you end up in the relationships, work relationships, for example, you look at the things and you're like, okay, well, this is new, that is a new things. And all of a sudden, you begin and work there for 2, 3 weeks, and all of a sudden you begin hearing stuff. And you're like, did I pick up a bad company again? And now, inside of your mind begins to work and begins to kind of like screwing you up. And you're like, well, there may be a good company, right? And you go on, and month passed, 2 months passed, 3 months passed, and from everyone around you hear, bad stuff and bad situations. And all of a sudden it's like, dear, why you listen to these people? These people is not you. You have to make up your own damn mind about it. You work here. It's your job. You're a pro. You can't allow this kind of things coming up into. And later on, you outgrow, you outpass this barrier inside of you when you're telling yourself, it's like, hi, Ray. And you're telling yourself, it's like, yes, I'm going to do it. And you do it, and you do it, and you do it. And guess what? Your old way of thinking is not there anymore. It is your new way of thinking. You went down to the root and you figured out that you preset yourself as a failure. You preset yourself as things that you're gonna set it up, the things and fail. Um, there was a questions that come up into as far as a twin flames situations. Why is this separations need? Why is those repeating cycles? Why is that parts? Well, the root. When you get involved as a soul, you show up what is in your roots. And if in your roots there is a problems, then those problems they surface, they came out. You can't hide them. And that is a turning into this way of, hey, hello, I'm the problem here. I need to be addressed. I'm the problem. And all of a sudden you're like, no, stay there. Nobody has to know about this problem. Nobody has to know about these issues. Nobody has to know about these situations. Okay? But guess what? The problem comes up. Hey, I'm the problem. But you keep self-sabotaging and don't fix the problem. You're not going deep into the roots why this problem comes up. Okay? Because nothing seems as bad as it is. But it's nothing is good as it is. So when you begin to work with the third energies, that is the energy of the universe, since you are blind and you only see a one thing, you can use the universe energies are helping you out to see what is hidden behind the veil. All right, what is it underneath? You're not seeing it everything the first time. You're not going to be able to absorb this information for you self-sabotaging yourself. And that's why this keep repeating cycles they are coming up. By the way, when I'm talking, if you guys have some questions, you can write them so I can kind of like during the talk, I can kind of like responded to you, so that way I don't have to come back. So what is the root cause, by the way? The root cause is, for example, if you feel guilty, all right, you feel guilt, you did something wrong, or you feel like something happened. So you go back down in your timeline as a person and you feel where is that guilt coming up. All right, I'm gonna give you some personal example with me. So the guilt of the wrongdoings, that what it was, is that I felt one vibration. I felt so weird for a long time, and went in deep in me. I'm like, dude, it's not the root. That's not that is. That's not is. I mean, I look at it all the, from the life through the United States that I have, through the life that I came back here in Bulgaria, through my life as a teenager. Dude, it wasn't. I mean, I went out nuts. I'm like, what did I miss? And I went all the way back into my really earlier childhood at the daycare. So we were playing with the toys and something happened in there. And everybody pointed me, which is I had nothing to do with it. And I was the guy who was put out in the corner. And I felt guilty and I felt totally unwronged, and I was like, there is no justice, there is no this, what the heck. And I see that situations like was like right in front of my eyes. I'm like, okay, well, that was the root. Wasn't the root. We're talking about childhood memories when 4 or 5, something like that. But they're deep, okay? So I went to and spent like going in and like see that situations of all the angles out of me. And it comes out and the teacher comes to me and it's like, oh, no, it wasn't you. I'm sorry we put you in the corner. I'm sorry we hurt you. I'm sorry about this. And I was like, okay, well, they told me sorry, but that didn't fix the problem. Here, what the problem comes in. I took as a personal that I did something wrong. Took it. So I was looking at this like looking into that situation so the daycare, and it's like I told myself, but it wasn't my fault. It wasn't me. I didn't do that. It's not mine. That guilt is not mine. And the guilt went away. The guilt just poof. Now I begin to heal the guilt that I felt similar to this back up into my timeline, back up into this situations, back up into these things. And I begin to use the same model of things that I need to heal, root down into the root problems. And I had a situation here, I was like yesterday or day before, I had to go ahead and do some very special spiritual things. They asked me, Dio, how did you do it? I mean, come on, it's like, and I said, I use the universe energies, when you want to help for it, ask the universe, because the universe knows everything. Hidden, secretive, the universe knows absolutely everything. This is what the Akashic records are. And I give them an example. Okay. So, for example, you have a conflict, you have a situations, and all of a sudden, the one goes in the one room, the other one goes into the other room. We actually tonight I had a video conference with someone. We talk about exactly the same thing, and instead of talking about the problem, the real problem, you begin to talk about something else, totally out of the whack. It's like nothing happened, but you escaping the situations. And some people who are escaping situations, guess what? They keep escape, and keep repeating in their life. Why? Because they're escaping the issues, they're escaping the situations for it. It's not the this part of, okay, well, roll your sleeves and let's get to work. All right. So if you look at it deep into the roots of this issue, of this kind of like situations, because with the talks with this lady, she's trying to help somebody. It's like, how can I help? How can I do this and that? And take a look underneath. What is beneath the surface? What is a deep down into the roots? And if the person trying to escape some issues, then the person feels insecure, he feels fear, but he also fears to live in the truth. And if you look at only one side of the road, you will make decisions only of the one side of the road. For example, if he had a previous relationship, you only gonna see like he's like the one I had before, and you infuse the situations without looking into the situations. You're not solving the problem. You're bringing the problems with you, and you're always gonna have this crashes in life. You're always gonna have this. The crashes in lives, they make you strong. So you can go ahead and get it from situations, get out of those situations, move up, rise up, and see. The more higher you go, the more low you're going to see what is in the roots problem. And then if you're the person who looks underneath, you will see down the road what's happening. For example, I was looking at in the situations of why I was attracting a similar type of relationships of what's going on. So I go ahead and look at the relationships of my mom. I look at the relationships down within my grandparents that I was raised by my grandparents. I wasn't raised by my parents. Um, that thanks God for it because to me that was ever since I was little. The universe has been primary thing and religion. I will tell you some another story here. That we were like 3, 4, maybe 5 year old I was, and they took me to one place here. It's called a town, very historical. It's called Batak, and I went in there and I went out and I was telling the priest what they should need to do. Okay, they don't have to hold their fingers like this; they have to hold them like this. And I went out and argued with them. I had to go ahead, 5 year old kid, teaching the Orthodox priest there, and I remember that I felt that guilt in me that the priest went out to talk to my grandma, and my grandpa is like, "Who is this boy that teaching us?" Um, yeah, had this kind of like a review of me. Um, but when you get to this universe energy, you're using that energy. That energy helps you to see, and when you see that energy, you will understand what happened into your tree line in your life. Okay, for example, why you are attracting people like that. I was attracting people similar to my mom for the reason is that I had to break the karmic cycles. I didn't see that. I didn't grow up with her. I didn't understood her. Okay, until I didn't understand that similar things happened to me. For that reason, I was the black sheep. I had to break the cycles. I had to go ahead and get into that route. Now, since I understood what was that, I went to the relationship with my grandparents and I see things in and then I see behind that. Even the people I never met. Why? Because that has to stop with me. From now forward, that has to stop with me. Not continue brings that. So I went down to the roots. The roots were one thing, love. The roots were love. That somebody didn't got the love that they love. Something happened. Somebody got involved. Some kind of situations. Then the anger from the one put into the other, to the other, into the other. But here is the good side, though. The good side is my mom is can look at you and she can tell you pretty much everything in your life. After you drink a cup of coffee, you put it upside down, it dries out, and she can just, she can tell you some things. Her father, which is my grandpa that I was born, he was naturally gifted healer to fix your, uh, you twist your arm and you can't move, he can put it back together, or your ankle or your hands, or you twist your thumbs, or you have a lower back problem, or you have a problem with your neck. He never went to medical school, but he was good at it. So look that side of my mother's side. I look at it into this root cause. How did I get this spirituality? Where did that came from? Okay, so this is why it's important to you as your own self to look into the roots. Once you fix the root cause of the issues you have, then you will heal, but not only heal you, but you're going to heal the things is, because the truth, when it comes out and it's understood and it's matching within the universe, now you healed these situations within you. Because if you don't heal yourself, you're going to end up in unhealing relationships, unhealthy relationships. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of relationships. You may have personal relationships, kids relationships, I mean, parents relationships, work, business, so on and so on. It is all important to look deep in you. That's what the reason is. That's what this root cause is, to look. Go more deep. Go more of it. So we'll take some questions now. If you guys have some questions on it, I can have a smoke. Can I? You're welcome, Ray. Open your heart, as you said. You open your heart has to be open. Yourself has to be open. There is this dangerous point of opening it 100%. There was this quote of broken, like if somebody broke your heart, make sure you make nice things with the pieces. And that was this photo of a broken cup, and somebody makes some nice jewelries out of the pieces. You gotta be personal example for someone. People learn by example, but they show up as actions. These actions in you. All right. I mean, I've been working with someone, and I begin to see the actions, how he changed from this a person that had all this some issues, and I see the change in him. I see this change with actions. Okay, and when you see this change of actions, all right, you see how the person becomes to be more aware, more happy. He's more of things that uh, he becomes the example actions, but that action pushing him forward, towards having some more actions. And when he makes some more actions, more happiness comes in, and more things comes up all of a sudden, just like that, like. And that's what it is. That was it. What you put into your attention, your time, and you conform it with the actions. That's what comes up. Um, Seashell. Hi, Dio, but how do you determine it, what the root cause is? Is there maybe a many contributing factors? Yes, there could be a many contributing factors. And for example, I was doing a root cause failure analysis in the machines and robots. Okay, so kind of like gonna be tied up to this a little bit. So, for example, um, the robot and the machines are wired to something that's called interface. Okay, and they talk to each other. So, for example, the machine is producing something, it's a press, and that press it's pushing something. You create some, let's say, for example, lighters, plastic lighters, and that machine where it closed, the robot can go down. It is impossible to go down. But when the cycle is finished, the machine is opens up, then the machine sends a signal to the robot and it says, hey, robot, it's safety for you to go ahead in there. The robot goes down in there and pick up the parts, and it says like, okay, I pick up the parts, now I have to get up. So he goes up, and the moment it goes up, it sends a signal to the machine. It's like, okay, go ahead, get a new cycle that comes in. But when there is a problem into it, then you have to go and troubleshoot it. You have to go to the root cause, because the robot goes down and all of a sudden every 200 or 300 cycles it stops. For some reason it stops. It's like their relationships. You're doing something and then it stops, and then it stops, and then it stops, and you're like, what is going on? You go, you test, you look cables, you do this and did that. No, it's continuous stopping. So something that you don't see it. You don't see it to repeat every cycle. It repeats every 2, 3, 500 cycles. And you're like scratching your head and it's like, what's going on in here? I have to go more deep. So you go in there and you begin to troubleshoot. You look at everything. You trace wires, you trace signals, and all of a sudden you go out there and you're touching the robot a little bit, and you see that one of the sensors is loose. So every 200 or 300 cycles, that sensor in there loses its screw, and now it's just doing this. Once in a while, makes a contact, and it's losing that contact. And now you went in there, and you went down to the problem. You went in, you tighten up that sensor. Now, every time the robot comes up, no problem. The robot then works till the next failure, the next breakdown. But it's the same thing with people. Okay, the people has this tendency of something breaks, or how they say in the United States, you lose its nuts. Everybody loses its nuts, even the people. I know some of you laughing at it right now, since you know it what it is. But this how you determine it, okay, it is about you go one step further than you ever did before. If you worked on yourself and you got to a certain point, but the issue keeps coming up, what does that tell you? You didn't went deep enough. You didn't understood the whole issue enough. It's the same thing like me with that robot. I went, I look, but the problem will still exist until I don't find the root problem of this. So you have to keep looking at you. All right? Don't attach problems with other people. Other people, they don't know how to communicate with you. So, for example, if the machine doesn't have a good communications with the robot, then by we tracing the signals, we can figure out that the machine doesn't give the right signals to the robot. Then we are going to look the machines. All right. Then we're going to look at another person. Okay. And if it's the other person, then guess what? You go ahead and tell that person, listen, just go fix your things. I can't do it for you. You have to fix yourself, not me. I don't have to be this. I'm working fine. Do you really working fine though? No, it can't make production. The machine and robot has to work together to make a production. It is the same thing in the relationships. Two people come together towards a common goal. But do you really, if the one person wants to have their own personal goal, guess what? Now the common goal is not a common goal anymore, it's personal. That's what you go and do things. Nice to hear about how you develop your gifts. While I was growing up as a child, we grew up in the street playing, but I always look into the stars. During the summer times, I will spend like maybe an hour after everybody goes. The street that I grew up in there, it was kind of like a high end of town. You can see the town, which is down in like Little Valley. But the street that I grew up was up in the hill, and down there in the hill there was a one tree, and I would climb up in the tree, and the tree had a very this kind of like a position you can almost kind of like laying down and watching the stars. And as a kid, I was always during the dark, so nobody can see me that I was there. I was always going there to watch the stars. During the summer times, I was enjoying this. I was really, or we were playing as a kids, and we will see a shooting stars. And, because we are way up in the mountains, so I'm talking about here in Bulgaria. And all of a sudden, I begin to uh, develop these energies in me of connections, kind of like begin to understand new things. When I was like maybe 5 or 6, that was my first breakdowns. Whatever I say was all of a sudden go. Like things got really, for me scary because I say something and it happened. I'm like, you're wondering, in yourself. But this is the time you need to understand that a lot of the people are not grown up to that level. But when you develop as a child, you also develop your spiritual child, and your spiritual child, your inner spiritual child, leads you to that development. Okay, and the more you trust that spiritual inner child to lead you towards to it, the more you're getting connected with in the universe. Most of the people, though, they fail to listen that spiritual child. Most of the people, they stop at some point to believe into the legends. They stop belief in these bedtime stories. They stop of this dreaming. But that's what feeds the spiritual child early in the development too. So when I was 7 years old, I began to, read. I had problems with reading, but catched it very quick. I catched very quick for it. I begin to understand that when I put the energy towards something, just happened like this. I remember I was the first grade, and they point me out that I didn't read properly pronunciation. So I focused myself, and I put into it, and I had to read some text. The teacher asked me to read it twice because I read it properly. Then I begin to ask myself what's going on with these energies in me. I had to hide. That was something that I didn't like. I had to push away from other people because they don't understand me. I was, yeah, I was different. Of course, the other kids, they stay away from me. Some of them I had as a friend, but most of the time I kind of like was pushed from them. I wasn't the right thing. But the development begins there. The development of the spiritual child, that inner child, begins there. And if you pay attention to your soul evolution, you will understand that that spiritual child, that inner child, is your spirit. It is your internal spirit. It's just pushing you forward. It's guide you into your life. It's got you into this higher level of understanding. I mean, I was 15 years old. I moved to the capital, and I had to work somewhere. So I'm talking to a guy who was very much on the esoterics, and I was talking to him about this universal kind of like a thing that controls everything and anything. And I was beginning to explain it to him, and he's like, "Well, that's nobody says nothing like that." I'm like, "Well, that's how it goes." And I began to sell newspapers, so I had to support myself back in the days when I was 16, 15, whatever. And there was this occultic magazine, newspaper, not magazine, but newspaper. And there's an article in there for how that universe works in there. And they were saying exactly the same thing I was saying to it. So I went out and I told them, listen, here is, read it. Somebody else said what I said. And this is how you develop your connections with the universe. This is how I got mine. I don't know about other people, how that is, but this is how it happened to it. Because I didn't grow up with my parents, but I grew up in the universe. My grandma gave me, probably we're talking about this caring, compassionate personality. I was caring for wounded animals as a kid. I mean, I remember there was this pigeon that I found, and I was always bringing animals, and as a kid. But I found this pigeon, and we made him a cage. We fixed his wing, was broken, and I loved him so much. I mean, we were very good. I went. I feed him every day. I play with him. I take him with me. I put it on my shoulder, and right here, and he's next to me, and so on. And then he flew away. I had a kittens that I found, and they're like, you found kittens, right?" And I bring it. I mean, that's how I was. But this is how you develop. This is how you do it. So if you guys have any more questions for, or anything that you want me to go explain more deeper, as I can't, Just write it down. All right, guys. Well, I see here only have 12 people here and watching it live. Um, my last message to you is before you do any actions, seek within yourself. I did this same actions in my past life. What did I got? That is a part of troubleshooting yourself. So take a look in this kind of like a review of yourself. And what was the outcome when you did the same actions? Where did that lead you? And thinking about it, what if I don't act like this? Where is that might lead me? Where is that my going into? Hi, Cherry. And what that will do it. And you might hit that wall of fear. You might hit that wall of the unknown. But that's what that is. It's a part of the evolution. You see, the part of evolution, if you look at it as a one vegetable, for example, corn. Okay, when the sprout comes out, it hits its limits. So it needs some more moisture, more nurturing to take from the ground and grows more. And now when it feels like it needs to grow, it fixes its limitations. So he knows I need more. And that's what this is, as the soul evolution is to grow. I mean, we're looking at, there was an article here about the universe, and there was this post that only like a 15% of the universe is full of galaxies. What about the rest of the 85? Well, guess what? You gotta be happy that this 85%, there's nothing in there. Because he can create things there. There is a room for creation. Your brain capacities, it is about an average. If you can read the Library of Congress, probably your capacity is at 10%. But if you evolve, you move behind this unknown, behind this veil, you can increase your capacity. The question is are you going to be able to handle it more than what you are designed for it? So you have to grow of understanding passed by your own limitations. And this is how the universe will tell you this evolution, this growth that you seek. But the growth is not doing the same thing and expecting different results. You have to look behind the veil. Do something different, change, transform. Seek the truth. There is no more powerful thing than the truth. The real wisdom is to understand the truth. Once you understand the truth, you are one truth within the universe. That's what the magic, and that's what this vibrations is. When you become one with the universe, okay, This is where all the magic, this manifestation shows up. You think about something, and the next day you're seeing it, you're getting it, because the universe confirms and tells you, there you go. You said it, it's there. Move up, go, evolve. It's the same thing. It's like the rain came down and the corn was just like, oh, I need that water with all these minerals. I'm getting them. Oh, I grew. Yes, you grew. But if there is a problem, where are you seeking the problem? Into the sprout that you see, or down in the roots when there is a dry ground? So what do you got to do? You want to go ahead and put a sunlight into the sprout, or are you going to put some water and the nice nutrients for the corn to grow? And if you don't put the nurturing part into the roots, you ain't going to have no corn growing up. It's same thing with you. Same things. All right, guys. I hope you have a good afternoon and have a good night. And guys, thank you so much for watching it. And be love. Just be love.